Browns losers to the Kansas City Chiefs week 1, 33-29. We're each going to offer a takeaway here from this game. Mary Kay, why don't you go first? What was your big takeaway from Sunday's Browns loss?
The overriding takeaway for me was the fact that if these two teams meet again in the playoffs, I think the Chiefs really are going to know exactly what they are up against. They really didn't know exactly what to expect from this Cleveland Browns defense. And I think they found out that they are coming to play and that the Cleveland Browns are not going to be an easy out. And just because you're the Chiefs at Arrowhead, it doesn't mean you can show up here and win a football game against the Cleveland Browns. I think the Browns established themselves as a real threat in the AFC, one of the best teams. Obviously, they didn't finish. I mean, it was disappointing the way that they came out in the second half. They let Patrick Mahomes take it to them, and then they had a series of unfortunate events. But the overriding theme in my mind is that this football team is what we thought it was. It is a contender. It's a good team. They should go very far in the playoffs.
Scott?
Yeah, my take's kind of similar. I spent this week wondering what this game means, and I never really thought the final score was going to tell us what it really meant. To me, it was more about how the Browns performed, especially on defense. And I came away from this game thinking that the changes that they made had a significant impact. I know they imploded in the end. There's no getting around that, but making the Chiefs have long drives and a lot of the little plays here and there that you did not see, especially concerning speed on defense, were there today that weren't there in January. So again, kind of like Mary Kay, I'm coming away from this thinking the Browns can definitely compete with the best teams in the league. And that's where they're starting the season. So that's a good place to start.
Ellis, what have you got?
I think it's clear the Browns need Odell Beckham Jr. to beat not only the Kansas City Chiefs, but just to solidify themselves as a top AFC team. The Browns had the ball twice with more than 6 minutes to play, down 5 against the Chiefs. And both times they failed to generate points. The first one ending in a punt, and then the other one, of course, that interception that sealed the game. They lacked explosiveness late, and Odell Beckham Jr. remains, at least in my mind, the difference maker, but we've yet to see it.
Doug?
I'm looking around the league. Buffalo lost. Tennessee got blown off the field by Arizona. New England lost. The Colts lost. The Chargers beat Washington by 4 while Washington had to play its backup quarterback. Of course, the Browns are the second best team in the AFC behind the Chiefs. Who else in the AFC would have gone out and hung with them? The Ravens don't play till Monday night, but everybody on their team doesn't have knees anymore. So, it's one of these things. Anybody who's upset that the Browns didn't win, would you rather be the Bills right now, who couldn't beat the third best team in the AFC North? So I think the context of who we think is chasing the Chiefs in the AFC, a lot of that went very well for Cleveland, even though the Browns didn't win.
And to me, my big takeaway is the Browns might have the better roster, but the Chiefs still have Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce. And if you do things like drop a punt or drop a snap, if your best running back fumbles the football, if you give this team an opening, they're going to kill you. And that's going to be the difference, or it could be the difference in a rematch. The Browns, player by player, have a better roster, but having Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce can trump all of that. So if these two teams meet again in January, the Browns have got to be significantly better when it comes to taking care of the football and not hurting themselves. Okay, there you go. Takeaways from the Browns' loss to the Chiefs in week 1. Check out cleveland.com/Browns for full coverage. And we got a podcast coming soon. So make sure you're subscribed to that podcast feed as well, the Orange and Brown Talk podcast, to hear more of what we thought of this football game.